Greetings to everyone. It is Friday, again, December the 10th. Um, and I got a right good bit to talk about, so I'm going to kind of move along pretty quickly today. Of course, it wouldn't be a weekly video if I didn't talk about COVID. So, in spite of us being tired of talking about COVID, I'm going to talk about COVID. I've heard a lot of y'all talking and getting frustrated because it's the holidays. You know, you want to get together with your friends at work, your co-workers. You haven't been able to eat together in forever. Uh, and now it's Christmas, and we've had such a good time at Christmases before. I know in the corporate office we've had Chinese Christmases that are just tons of fun. I feel your frustration, but here's the cold reality. I actually had to look this up. What I'm referring to are the CDC guidelines. And you can go on cdc.gov yourself. I'm actually going to attach that full guideline to the email that I'll send out with this YouTube link. They have a whole separate section for healthcare workers and what we can safely do. Their very first criteria for healthcare workers that we have to be in counties where the transmission rate is either moderate or low. Now, in my email, I'll send you the map right off of the CDC webpage. All of the counties in South Carolina are mostly red. There are some orange ones. Red and orange is high. And what's the other one? And substantial. In other words, high transmission and substantial transmission. There is one county that is yellow with only moderate transmission, and that's Bamberg, too far away from us to help us out any. But let me repeat that. All 5 of our counties, as a matter of fact, everywhere in the PD, is red. And that means that we have a very high transmission rate. The virus is spreading. The cases are rising. That's the cold, hard facts. So we don't even meet the first criteria that CDC tells us that we could begin to think about relaxing the guidelines. If we did reach the level of moderate to mild or low transmissions in our counties, then what CDC says is the following, and I'm literally reading from this, the following allowances could be considered for fully vaccinated individuals in healthcare facilities located in counties with low to moderate community transmission. I'm going to let that sink in. Allowances could be considered for fully vaccinated individuals. We don't have full vaccination. That's just the hard, cold fact of it. And I know I've heard a lot of the folks that haven't gotten vaccinated feel like they're being treated like second-rate citizens, but the fact of the matter is that here's the guidelines. Unless people are fully vaccinated, even if we reach a point where our transmission levels are, like CDC said, low to moderate, not moderate, low to moderate, yeah, the folks that aren't vaccinated can't join us. So, but for now, we don't even meet the first criteria. So I hate to say this, but we cannot allow for employees to begin eating back together, enjoying the fun of the holidays. We cannot allow it. I was so hoping that there would be an opportunity where once we complied with the CMS mandate that we would at least have full vaccination. And even if we had to wear masks, at least we could be together. Doesn't look like that's going to have a possibility. So, that's the cold hard facts, people. And we have to be compliant with CDC guidelines. I also am attaching the email to the email, the little flyer that the marketing department sends out, and it gives you the numbers that we've reached on vaccination and testing and administering the monoclonal antibody infusions. And folks, we have administered over 5,000 monoclonal antibody infusions. That is absolutely amazing. Uh, you stop and think about that. That's 5,000 people that could have been much more sick, even in the hospital, and we actually saw this happen, or died. I'm really, really proud of that. I know that it's making a difference and it's saving lives. And even better, this week new guidelines were released that allows repeat, all ages to be eligible for the monoclonal antibody infusion, from newborn up. Now that's a big, big, big deal. There's only one particular product that can be used for that infusion, but that's okay. We got plenty of that. This is so important for our younger children because they don't have a vaccine that's even available to them. And unfortunately, when they get sick, they often have some pretty bad side effects and even end up in the hospital and in ICUs. That is heartbreaking, seeing a young child in an ICU. So this has been an amazing development. And in this week alone, Sweet Bee has already infused 10 children, less than the age of what was the limit before. I think all the way down to a toddler, making an enormous difference in keeping these kids healthy so that they don't get the disease severely and don't end up in the hospital. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, isn't doing an IV on a young child really, really hard? Well, it's not easy, but we are really fortunate at Care South. Our provider leader in the monoclonal antibody infusion is Jennifer Lynch, as most of y'all know. Well, Jennifer has specific experience, having been in the pediatric ICUs before. So she's really able to draw on that experience and accomplish this extremely needed service for these very young kids. I think that this is going to be one of the best developments that we will have seen in recent weeks as we do everything in our power to combat this terrible infection, this terrible virus. Speaking of the virus, you may have been reading that there is a new variant out and about called Omicron. It was first noticed to any great extent in South Africa. Now, let me remind you, when we say South Africa, we're really talking about Johannesburg. Johannesburg is a huge, big metropolitan area. It's not like the backwoods or anything. It's full of universities and school research areas. In other words, they pretty much know what they're doing, and they had a fairly high vaccination rate, kind of about the same par as what we have. And their cases of Omicron have shot straight up. It's early, though, still. We don't know a lot about it. The European countries are also seeing the Omicron rear its head in Great Britain, which has also experienced a surge, and a lot of other European countries. Here's what we do know. We are confident now that we know that Omicron can spread even more rapidly than Delta. And remember, Delta had a huge transmission rate, or any other variant for that matter. We also know, unfortunately, that there are breakthroughs that are happening. Breakthroughs that are happening amongst people who have already had the disease In other words, they've got the antibodies, and unfortunately breakthroughs from the vaccination. But these breakthrough cases aren't usually as sick, although the breakthrough cases for those who only have the protection of antibodies from having had a previous infection is not quite as strong to our knowledge as the antibodies produced by the vaccine. So the best tool really still is get the vaccine. To what we know now, it has been detected in the United States, still at low numbers. The good news is our normal test, our antigen and our PCR test, and our rapid at-home test all can detect the virus even if it's Omicron. That's good news. But unfortunately, predictions have been made by some of the South Carolina experts that Omicron will be the prevalent or a large percentage of the virus that we see in South Carolina by the week after Christmas. You know, that's kind of heartbreaking. The week after Christmas, that's a time right before New Year's Eve. So we have to keep that in mind. We have to remember that we have tools that we can use. And let's try to remember the value of those tools, not just for ourselves, but for friends, family, older relatives or friends or church members that could be compromised. If you are on the cusp right now and you can't quite make your mind up if you want to get the vaccine or not, or if you have a friend or family member, please know that today is the 10th of December. If you got the one-shot Johnson & Johnson today, it becomes fully, it gives you full protection, shall we say, in 14 days. So that means by Christmas Eve, December 24th, you would have a full immunological response. Think about that. That's the one shot. That's the Johnson & Johnson. 14 days, full immunization is reached. Please think about it. Think about it for your friends, your families, your older grandparents. Think about it for the children. 14 days. Let's switch out and don't talk about COVID anymore, okay? There is going to be some things going on that you're going to see a lot of activity around in the next few weeks before the end of the year, and that's our end of the year CareSouth celebrations. Next week, look for the year-end. Look for the next year-end employee gifts that we always have a good time giving out. We usually gave those out at the staff meeting in December. Well, we can't have a staff meeting, so they're going to be coming around to your sites starting next week. I think you're really going to like them. I'm not going to tell you, it's a secret, but I think you're really going to like them. Amanda and her marketing team have really worked to pick out something that we hope will be enjoyed and useful for everyone. It is a surprise. Also next week on Wednesday, expect to see the year-end appreciation bonus that will be direct deposited to your account. That should be in your account around Wednesday. So expect to see that. Over the next several weeks, you will also begin to see several of our historical awards and recognitions that we generally used to do at our year-end December staff meeting. We're going to reemerge a lot of those. You'll see some announcement emails, some posting, some pictures, some having fun, because we've got an awful lot of things, a lot of people, a lot of accomplishments to be grateful for. Employee of the Month, Good Catch Awards, our risk officers who have really, really worked hard in this pandemic, and some important recognition of anniversaries, big anniversaries that have happened during this pandemic. So look out for that. It's going to be some fun celebrations. Part of this celebration is important because we know, we hear you, we watch you, we understand. This is a tough, tough time for all of us. There's stress, there's anxiety, there's depression, there's the feeling of always being tired and overwhelmed and sick of this pandemic. We know. Look for some communication from us in the future. We are going to be sending out some more surveys and questionnaires and what have you to try to learn what really is going on. We haven't been able to get together. We need to know what's on your mind. We probably can't remedy everything, but there's some things that we can deal with. We need to hear from you. Be honest. Be transparent. It will still be anonymous when we send out these things. But most important, know that we are really concerned about this. This has been a terrible 21 months for all of us. And it's taken its toll. We're tired. We're frustrated. We're stressed out. There's a huge degree of anxiety and we're overwhelmed. Let's see what we can do about it. Maybe not the perfect solutions, but we do care. Okay, last thing to talk about is the updates and news about what's going on with buildings and construction and stuff like that. The new building in Dillon continues to move forward. They're having a little bit of delay because they're having some problems getting construction workers. So the end of April, though, still looks like a pretty good date for completion. Good progress is also being made on the new Sherrall building. That building has a federal grant in it, and oh man, there is a ton of hoops to jump through to get this final federal approval so that we can begin moving forward and clearing and actually getting some work done there. Renovations have been underway in Hartsville and will still continue in terms of flooring. They're getting a new floor and it looks fantastic. It's floor-like as in the new buildings, Chesterfield and McCall, and it really does look great. I tell you, that carpet in Hartsville was getting embarrassing. It was nasty even. And of course, St. David's, I think we've gone through all of the processes that we need to go through. That is a USDA funded project. And we hope to really get moving maybe right around the first of the year, a little bit later than that, on some actual construction and renovation at St. David's. We need this administration space desperately. Last week I talked about all of the executive management team and supervisors are being asked to come back into their offices and have a more available presence in the offices and out and about throughout CareSouth. But some people just don't have offices to come back to, so we desperately need some of this space. And last, but I need a drum roll for this, Chesterfield has opened the pharmacy there. The CSC Community Pharmacy had its grand opening just last week, and it has been so well received by the community. The staff there are all local from Chesterfield, and folks know them. It's a real exciting opportunity to bring this really needed services to the folks in Chesterfield. So that's a thrill. When you see pharmacy folks, please let them know this is a excellent development in a community that has such need. All right, folks, that's enough. I know it's kind of overwhelming, but you have to hear some of these news items, some good, some bad. Please stay safe over the weekend. I know there's a lot going on in our holidays, but remember, stay as safe as you can, follow guidelines, be careful, and really consider making your friends and family and church members and what have you know that vaccination is really one of the best tools we have now. Stay safe. Bye-bye.